They have been interpreted over the centuries to justify slavery, to justify war, to justify violence.
Let's just deal with that. Let's just deal with that. There have been there's always this tension in terms of living out one's Christian faith between living according to the apostolic and prophetic teaching and living by what is normative to your culture. There is always that tension has always been there. And those examples where Christians have abandoned what the Christian faith teaches to go along with what is culturally acceptable.
No, they've held them central to their heart.
They've
taken the same
because
words
if you could listen, because the culture, like we take the Christians who went along with the Nazis. What they did, you shut up for a second and let me finish. Gosh, man, just be quiet, just for a minute, right? So the problem, the problem. Can I finish a point? I know it undermines you. Thank you. So, in terms of things like cultural Christians of Nazi Germany, the fact of the matter is that Christians are always at risk, and this is a message to my brothers and sisters. We are always at risk of confusing our culture for the faith and allowing the culture to determine for us what we should do and then putting the label Christian over the top. That is a danger. And when the church, shut up for a second, when the church has been at its worst, it is when it has done that and mistaken culture for faith. Those Christians that hold closest to their faith are the ones that love the best, love the most, love the purest. And love does not enslave. Love does not go along with Nazism. Love does not go along with swearing allegiance to the flag or to the Constitution or to the Queen. Love is a devotion that you give to God and to your brothers and sisters in the community. A true Christian politic is a politic that seeks to ensure that the church is stronger from age to age against all of its rivals.
That's an unrealistic idea.
No, it is not.
Yes, it is.
No, it is not.
You
can talk. You can talk.
Thank you very much. On the German army belt, in the Nazi era, it had written, as you probably know, it had "My God" written, and it's supposed to be your God, right? Your God, and it, my God. The thing is that I would argue, look, you're a good man, and I'm sure that you actually read the Bible and try to live it to the purest way possible. But what you've just described there is a high idea. What I'd actually suggest that it's misinterpreted pretty universally across times and across nations, across the world. I'm not slagging off Christianity, but what I'm actually saying is that it can be interpreted in so many ways. And another thing I'd actually say to you, right, is that if you actually read the Bible, it contradicts itself very often. You know, like looking at the Old Testament and the New Testament.
Okay, allow me to address. You got two totally separate points there. Firstly, the narrative that I'm describing is something that used to be normative to the church, and because of the Enlightenment, the church has lost that understanding of its own politic and needs to rediscover it. It is something that it was true all the way through the Church Fathers, all the way through the Dark Ages, all the way through the Medieval period, all the way through the Renaissance. Then the Reformation, it starts to falter, and finally it dies at the Enlightenment. We need to rediscover what it is to seek to make the church triumphant in every age, and every generation of Christians must struggle, must crusade, must give ourselves, our ardour, our oblation to God to ensure that the church is successful in every generation. Now, this is something that is not unrealistic. It only takes commitment. It takes commitment from each Christian to do that. That is not unrealistic. That is what you're supposed to do as a Christian. Now, in terms of the idea that the narrative of the New Testament contradicts the narrative of the Old Testament is again rubbish, because the Old Testament points towards Jesus. The whole point of all the prophecies of the Old Testament is that it is pointing to the Messiah. Christ is the Messiah. and the New Testament points back to the Old Testament. The Synoptic Gospels go to great length to demonstrate that Christ is the Messiah. So the idea that these two things contradict one another is just rubbish.
Is there not one bit in the Old Testament where somebody says, dash the little children? Is there not? I know I can't remember where it is, but it dash the little children, yea, unto Babylon, or something like that. It's a bit in there.
I think it's in a psalm
where it actually celebrates. It says, don't just go into that valley and kill everybody, but I want you to kill all the children as well. And
it's
make
a
sure.
psalm.
Right. Now, I don't think Jesus, I think Jesus said better that you sort of throw yourself in.
So for the little children to come unto me,
yes,
because before my Father in heaven they have angels. No, not at all.
Why not?
Not at all.
Why not?
Well, I mean, if I am remembering the passage correctly that you're citing about dashing children against rocks, it's a psalm, and a psalm is a poem. A poem is not literal.
So it's just in there just for the fun of it, just for...
No, of course it's not in there for the fun of it.
Is it?
No, of course it's not. Well, this kind of childish characterisation
so what's
belittles your own argument.
I'm sorry, why is it in there?
Yeah, it's a poem. It's a metaphor. It's conveying in graphic imagery profound emotions. Now, without reading that particular passage in context, I don't want to say anything more. But if it is the passage that I'm thinking of, and if it is the Psalms, as I believe it is, obviously it's a poem, and a poem is not meant to be taken literally, they're metaphorical.
I would imagine that it's meant as a guide for believers, a guide for their life.
No, this is simplistic enlightenment thinking. Once again, all your arguments are based on simplistic generalizations. They are based on simplistic characterizations.
That's because the thing is, the last time I read a Bible was 50 years ago.
Well, so perhaps you should pick one up again before you try to speak about it.
No, because I'm in Speaker's Corner. I just thought I'd wind you up.
You can throw out any argument you like, but unless your arguments are rooted in actual study, you're not going to carry any favour with me.
Well, I don't want to carry favour with you.
Yeah, but what I'm suggesting to you is if your worldview is based on a lack of study and you're making value judgments about things that you don't understand, would you agree with me that it is possible that your value judgments are wrong? I'll ask the question again.
Yeah, I know, so it's a very profound question.
If you're making...
Yeah, I know the question, I'm just thinking it over, alright? Just give me a minute. It's a very profound question. The thing is that because of my enlightenment values, and I'll give you that, I mean, I do have sort of some enlightenment values. The thing is that I live constantly in doubt, and that's what...
A terrible thing.
No, it's a wonderful thing.
It's a terrible thing.
It's a wonderful thing. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength.
No, it's the existential failure of the Enlightenment.
Constantly, where you constantly are questioning whether you are right. You are constantly questioning what the other person is saying and questioning what you're saying. You're always open to the other person's point of view and taking on, because you might have something, there might be something here that you say.
You're not answering my question.
Well, I am trying to answer the question.
Let me ask you the question again. Let me
refocus.
refocus. Let's refocus. The question I'm asking you is if your worldview is not based upon a genuine understanding of the topics that you're making moral value judgments upon, is it possible that your moral value judgments are wrong?
I beseech thee in the bowels of Christ to consider you may be wrong. That's from yes. Or maybe I might be.
Right. So what I'm suggesting to you is before you dismiss the Bible and before you dismiss the Christian faith, which you have stated categorically on record that it has been decades since you last really looked at it, perhaps you and all of you atheists out there who are making these judgments about the Christian faith that you've never really studied, you need to start picking up the scriptures, reading them for yourselves in light of church teaching and deciding if actually has got something to say to you. Would you do that? Or are you closed-minded?
Give me something to read, and I promise you I will read. I don't want to read like 200 pages. Give me something to read.
I'll give you, read for me the Gospel of Luke.
Gospel of Luke.
It's not 250 pages.
How many?
It's like 20 pages.
Yeah.
Read the Gospel of Luke in light of church teaching and come and talk to me about it. All right. You look after yourself. You have a great day.
Thank you, Bill.
So.